So this cool article I came across. I was looking for Obsidian stuff for NeoVim again, in plugins to be able to use NeoVim, take advantage and mess with Obsidian in NeoVim. And I came across this cool read as I was searching around. And this is this one dude's setup, okay? And it has everything to do with this set of tweets right here. So, basically, he set up his own, like, little system. So, his entire setup you can get for yourself and try it out. NeoVim obviously has setups for being able to mess with different configs in different prefixes. So you can have one config for one set of things and another config for another set of applications, have them completely separate, and have them on the same system, which is really, really cool. So here he uses the example of like running his NeoBean for his Obsidian, which now thinking about it is a very interesting name for a config. But anyway, so he obviously makes a separate config prefix. He sets, this is the command you use. I've done this a couple different times to test out different things, I believe, for like NV chat and whatnot. But yeah, then you run that. He adds it to his RC, shell RC, and then he can run NeoBean in order to run his Obsidian stuff. I was looking at this because I was looking at options for using Obsidian for like website stuff, because I like the idea of Obsidian Publish, but I don't want to shell out the money for it. But anyway, I'll get into that later. So the dude's like, do I use Obsidian? Yes, I did. I used it for many months. I spent countless hours configuring it, testing it out different plugins. So this is basically he's a Mac OS user, but this is the obsessive Linux user pitfall, is obsessively configuring something until you get it just right, okay? Before talking to my wife about NeoVim, I used to talk to her about Obsidian every single day, letting her know what a great tool it is and how much I loved it. Okay, this is what really interested me about this, is the fact that the man was talking to his wife about the software he uses, and he was evangelizing NeoVim to his wife, which is hilarious to me. Like, I was talking to my wife about NeoVim, I was talking to my wife about Obsidian, and I'm like, we don't even get any background about how technically capable she is. All we know is he could have been blabbing on to her about this piece of software, and shit's like going whoosh over her head. But yeah, below is a screenshot of some of the Obsidian plugins I used. So you can see he's got different ones enabled, others disabled. He's got the advanced tables in here. I think I've added that one to Obsidian once or before. Pandoc, VimRC support. I am just remiss that he doesn't have slides in here. He has Excalidraw, that's kind of cool, but anyway. Slides is a really cool Obsidian plugin, by the way. It does have some fine-tuning that you can do with it, but it basically lets you do a PowerPoint presentation with an Obsidian Markdown file inside of Obsidian. And I've looked at using that for presentations for different things, but I haven't quite gotten to implementing it as a thing. I've used niche presentation stuff in a couple different situations just to see how it works. Like, literally to the point that I was doing a first aid merit badge, the first aid merit badge at a merit badge powwow, and used Suckless's scent to do the presentation. And the scouts still thought first aid was their favorite one of the whole thing. Which is weird, because normally first aid isn't the favorite merit badge. But anyway. So, from the image shown above, some of my favorites are Git, Imager, Tasks, Typewriter, Scroll, and VimRC support. So, obviously Vim keys. He allowed me to use Vim motions in Obsidian. Typewriter scroll was nice too, kept my cursor centered. Tasks allowed me to manage my tasks for the day or future dates. Imager allowed me to upload images instead of storing them locally. And Git allows him to push Obsidian notes to GitHub. The other features he loved was the daily note, backlinks, outline, and it allowed him to view, paste, and images. So why did he start using Obsidian? There are a few people that in my gaming group that have started to pick up Obsidian, and it's really cool. I might have done an Obsidian video, and I've been used Sync thing to sync Obsidian notes between my phone and my computer. The other option is apparently this Obsidian Sync plugin that allows you to do peer-to-peer syncing directly in Obsidian, but yeah, that's a whole other thing. I spend most of the day in the terminal. That could be SSH into a remote server making changes related to configs, and when I met NeoVIM, I spent almost the entire day in it. It's rare that I'm not inside NeoVIM nowadays. I'm just switching between my different projects. In case I need to go to the terminal is just to run a quick command or something, but oh, why did I start moving away from it? Yeah. But other than that, I'm always in NeoVIM editing some sort of file. Back when I started with NeoVIM, I still needed to switch to Obsidian to look at my notes, and also to take notes. The main reason was because NeoVIM didn't allow me to view changes. Well, actually, this was a skill issue on my side because I didn't know how to set it up. Everything with NeoVIM, or Vim period, comes down to a skill issue. I also pasted images in Obsidian, and I didn't know how to do that in NeoVIM. I didn't even know it was possible. So I had to be context switching the entire day, going between my terminal and Obsidian. And if you do the same, you're 100% certain that it's disruptive for your workflow. Why? Because even though you can use Vim motions in Obsidian, they're not as advanced as the things you can do in NeoVIM. Like, for example, I can replace the double quotes in the sentence for parentheses when I'm in NeoVIM, and I cannot do that in Obsidian, or maybe now it's possible, not sure. Maybe, I don't remember. So I wanted to do my note management in NeoVIM, but I couldn't because of images, until I discovered that Kitty, using the Kitty graphics protocol, allows you to view images in the terminal. And there's a NeoVIM plugin that allows you to view images in NeoVIM, and there's also a plugin that allows you to paste images in NeoVIM. Again, NeoVIM based on Lua, there's a lot more you can do with NeoVIM versus Vim because of the Lua backend. So now I can paste images in NeoVIM in different formats, including AVIF, PNG, WebP, etc. I have a pretty advanced key map that even allows me to set the format and resolution of the image when pasting it. The power of Vim does not escape. Vim is a lifestyle. Folds in NeoVIM. I fell in love with folds in NeoVIM. I created some key maps that allow me to fold all the level 2 headings in a file, or for the level 3 headings, unfold all the headings, etc. I also have other key maps to jump between headings. If I press GKGJ, all the headings are unfolded. I can jump through the headings. I don't use this much anymore. My preferred way of navigating Markdown files is folding all the headings and jumping to the one I want. And sometimes I use the outline plugin that you'll see below. To understand what I mean by folds, look at the image below. This is the current article I'm working on, but all the headings folded. So I remember messing with source code in Vim forever ago, and the folds were just absolutely beautiful. And I remember using Atom, the Atom text editor, and you could do a similar. They had pretty decent Vim bindings, and it did the fold thing as well. And even if it didn't exactly match between the two, you could always reconfigure Vim to match that workflow and still keep it very keyboard-centric. And obviously you can see that the folded headings look very nice. Oh, also, look at how he puts the like and subscribe in the top corner. But anyway, he has his own YouTube channel. But yeah. Below is an image of the exact same file, but with all the headings unfolded. See? Very cool. Bullet points and everything. You can make it very pretty. Like, this doesn't... A lot of people wouldn't think of this as a terminal text editor, but that's exactly what it is. And you get the same thing with distributions like NVChad and stuff that way, that turn NeoVim into a complete beast of an IDE, basically. If you want to learn more about the folds, I created a video. Outline plugin. I love the outline plugin in Obsidian. I used it a lot. The huge downside for me is that I had to be using my mouse to navigate through headings. It was possible to do this with keyboard, but it was not as intuitive and easy. So I installed a plugin in NeoVIM, which takes care of this, and it's easier to navigate in it compared to Obsidian. Another video. Again, you don't necessarily need some of the plugins. You can still take advantage of searching or even Telescope in a lot of ways, but he talks about Telescope here later on. How to link notes to others. For this, I use a plugin called Marksman. Using LSP protocol, it provides completion, go-to definition, find references, rename factoring, diagnostics, and more. In addition to regular Markdown, it also supports a wiki-link style reference that enables Zettelkasten-like note-taking. If you're using the LazyVim distro like I am and you want to install Marksman, install the Lang Markdown Lazy Extra. I don't have a video dedicated to Marksman yet. Some folks have requested it, so I'll release it in the near future. If you're interested in this, let me know in the YouTube comments. So the cool thing about this is even a thing within, if I pull it up, VimWiki. Because if you look as I navigate through here, you can see all these different files. And these are all different files, completely different. So I can go to the knowledge base here. I can go into like journaling there, and it uses the different linking styles. Obviously, the square brackets is going to be preferred over anything else. And it's got a lot of the similar stuff here. But I can go back and forth with backspace. I can hit enter and obviously do different things that way. So there have been other plugins previously, even for regular Vim, that did similar things. It's just you combine the way Obsidian works and its protocols with NeoVim, and then you can get a few more options out of it and a better experience in a lot of ways. How to view images in NeoVim. There's a few things you need to do to be able to view images in NeoVim, but I cover everything in the video below. How to paste images. Very advanced customized way of pasting images. I can paste them as mentioned above in different formats. My preferred one is AVIF because the image size is really small and the image quality is great. I can save images with specific resolutions and in a specific directory to understand everything. Check that video. How to upload images to Imager from NeoVim. This is something that I did a lot back in Obsidian. I didn't have a way of doing this in NeoVim, so I created a custom key map. Again, NeoVim, very powerful with its custom stuff and taking advantage of shell commands as well. The nice thing about it is that I configured it so that the images that it uploaded are stored in my personal Imager account, but that's not necessary. You can upload the images in an unauthenticated way as well. He covers the setup there. So with NeoVim and Vim, you've got the ability to take shell commands and do things with it and take the output from shell commands and put them into the file as well. And that's very powerful when you can do complete whole setups of things. It's halfway one way that some of the AI plugins work for NeoVim, for like Olam and such, for programming and whatnot. Is it just uses a shell command, hooks into an API, and then spits it out into the buffer, just like a regular shell command would. How to create and open the daily note in NeoVim. I did use the daily note a lot back when I was using Obsidian. I tried to keep a journal, but failed miserably. But I do use the daily note every day, though. Now it's more like a Scratchpad for me. Let's say that I need to place a place to quickly write something down. I use the daily note. In my case, I have a key map, HyperTR. Hyper is a custom keybind if you use like QMK or any of the ZSA keyboards. It's like Super Shift Control, I believe. That takes me to the daily note. When I execute this key map, a few things will happen. Create a daily note with the date day, for example, that inside of Obsidian directory. If the directories do not exist, it'll create them. If the daily note doesn't exist, it'll create it. Create a new tmux session with a note name in detached mode, and start NeoVim with the daily note. If a tmux session with that name already exists, just switch to it. I created a dedicated video explaining how it's done. Again, very powerful just because it's on the command line and it runs shell commands. If you notice on the how to manage tasks in NeoVIM, if you notice on the right hand side of each one of my videos, I keep an app called Skitty Notes, which is basically a customized version of my NeoVIM setup running in the Kitty terminal. I keep tasks there that I need to complete for the day during a live stream, etc., so I mark them off as done, and I want them gone from that section. I have 2 ways of completing tasks. Leader X to just mark them as done, in my most used one, Alt X, to move them to the completed section, including the date and time in which they were completed. I can then search for all completed or uncompleted tasks in a project using Leader TC or Leader TT respectively. If you don't need to leave the tasks in a specific section, just leave them scattered around throughout your documents, and you'll be able to find it with key maps I listed. So he's got the tutorial on Skitty Notes, task management. Also keep in mind that I recently switched from Telescope to Snacks Picker, and I explained how I migrated my custom picker searches and how I configured the Snacks plugin entirely in the video below. Script to auto push to GitHub. So a lot of people have this keybind already set pretty much in Vim or NeoVim, and that basically auto sends everything up to GitHub without like asking a thing, which I need to reconfigure Git again. But anyway, I created this script. Remember that you can find it in my dot files. It automatically pushes the changes I have in my Obsidian GitHub repo every 3 minutes. So auto saves and auto pushes. It's pretty much a cron job at this point. Files can be found here. I'm not going to cover the script in this blog post, but if you want me to create a video about it, let me know. Markdown Preview in NeoVim. I use this plugin in case I need to print a Markdown file as a PDF, or also in case I need to scroll through the file in a smoother way. I can print the PDF in dark mode, which looks cool as well. I love PDF viewers that support dark mode. It's pretty nice. It's nice to be able to go into Zathura and be like, hey, do dark mode, and it does it. So yeah, enabling Vim motions in Obsidian, you need to go here in the Obsidian settings and specify the name of your vimrc file. In my case, I already had a vimrc and I wanted to use the same in Obsidian, so I created a symlink, and here's the part that does this, my ZSHRC. Notice that this points my active vimrc file, which can be found here on GitHub. Remember to star my dot file, so if you want to use your existing vimrc file, you can do something similar. So NeoVim does support the vimrc vimlang, but Lua is probably the better way to configure NeoVim in all reality. Okay. So what about the Data View Obsidian plugin? This is kind of the part where it's like, well, what about this? What about that? What about that? I was never a fan of the Data View plugin in Obsidian, as it makes my markdown files and also myself rely too much on a tool that I don't know I'm sticking with for the rest of my life. Imagine me adding all the data view annotations and queries and markdown files in Obsidian, but then decide to move to another markdown tool. All of that'll probably not be useful anymore. And this actually happened. I moved to NeoVim for markdown, but since I decided to not use data view from the beginning, I don't have to worry about compatibility. If you don't know what data view is in Obsidian, check this vid over here. I believe that's the data point thing, oh, wait. Nope, that's down there. Anyway, I don't use CalDraw extensively. I know that the Obsidian plugin is really cool and it integrates really well. If I need to draw something, I just open CalDraw in the browser and go from there. It seems this MFer just putting excuses for things he don't use. Nah, bro, for I don't use it. And when I do it, I just open the browser. What about the Obsidian mobile app? I suck at taking notes on my phone, so I never do that. I hate it because I'm really slow and I make way too many typos. I've hit that typo stage, it feels like, where I make a lot of typos when I'm typing, and I hate it. I also rarely use my phone to review my notes. Again, I don't really take notes on my phone. I mean, there are certain things where I'll quickly jot something down, but it's not too frequently. If there's something I want that's going to be more permanent, it's going in a physical notebook. Remember that I auto-push my Obsidian repo to GitHub so I can view the notes on the mobile app. The GitHub mobile app allows you to view the HTML, the notes in a nice HTML format. Or in this case, Markdown, because he's looking at it straight up, like an iPhone pleb. But anyway. And then it also has the Markdown preview in it. What about Obsidian Graph View? I'm pretty sure some folks love how the graph view looks. Up to this day, I haven't found a valid use case for it. Personally, it's just something aesthetic and to me brings no value. Some could say that it helps you understand how your notes link to each other like neurons in your brain, to which I respond, But hey, maybe I'm just old and boring and some people find it useful and like it. Remember that this is just my personal opinion. So there's something like the graph view is cool just because you can play around with it and drag it around. I'm not going to lie. It's just, I would just have it there as a toy to play with, in all reality. And kind of like this, that's where the features of Obsidian Publish are kind of nice, is the fact that, oh, it's got it right there. So do I have... Can I spell for the life of me? Okay, so if I go to this one, you can see that we've got a whole... Come on. So again, it's published by Obsidian Publish. Let's go to Wire Reports, that one. And so we can see that we've got the view here, and it's got it linked. And when you've got a whole cluster of them, it just makes it even more entertaining to sit here and play with it. I'm not going to lie. So I can expand it here. Anyway, that's a whole different thing. It's just a toy. How to search for files in NeoVIM compared to Obsidian. There are dedicated plugins to search for files. I used Telescope for a long time. I love Telescope with all my heart, but I've moved to the Snacks Picker plugin recently. If you want to understand how I navigate NeoVIM, I have a video. Also, if you want to learn why I moved away from Telescope, I have a video as well. Look, teardrop, sad teardrop. I found something a little bit more interesting. My entire Markdown workflow. I cannot cover all the Markdown stuff I do in Obsidian in this article because I've configured so many key maps that do many different things. But if you like what you see so far, I'd recommend you check this video. It seems you're hitting on Obsidian. Do you hate it? No, it's just that I moved on. It has a special place in my heart. I used it for a long time. There's many notes that I took in Obsidian. Again, this is something of, well, no, I really liked that I used it. It was cool. It's kind of like GNOME 2, Mate, XFCE for me. I loved the experience of using them, but there came a point where it's like, you know what? I found a workflow that I like as I've gotten older and gotten more experience. They still have a soft place in my heart to the point that like using something like Twister OS, I appreciate that I can sit here and have an XFCE theme that looks like Windows XP or Windows 95, and it does all the jingles and sounds at startup, but it's not my daily driver. But I can still appreciate what it's taught me and how I've integrated some of those things into my workflow. The only thing is that NeoVIM adapts more to my workflow, and it allows me to stay in the terminal, which allows me to move faster. Obsidian offers really nice features. For example, if you don't want to deal with GitHub to sync your notes across devices, they have a paid feature called Obsidian Sync. The only problem I see with that is that all these open source MFers are just cheap-ass MFers that don't like paying for stuff. MFers don't even like donating a dime. See post here. So I commented on this to say it's a pretty good one. It's a pretty good article, and this stab against open source MFers is horrible. Because it's true. And I'm thinking of subbing to that OnlyFans. Anyway, stab against open source MFers. Yeah. When you get the author's comment, I guess. Yeah. Obsidian also has a feature that allows you to publish your knowledge base or documentation on the internet. Similar to the blog post you're looking at right now, their solution is Obsidian Publish. The only difference is that I host my blog post in GitHub pages using a Jekyll theme, but if you don't want to go through all that setup, Obsidian Publish is the way to go. As noted, open that tab, you dang it. As noted here, using Obsidian Publish makes it super simple in a lot of ways to have an outline, have everything linked together, even have a dark and light mode. Huh. But yeah, pretty simple. And look, everything's there. So if I go into like this one right here, you have all the tags, you've got links to things, and it's got previews as well. So Obsidian Publish has a lot of cool things. You can preview other posts that are in the vault. We can go look at other ones that are tagged there, and I like that feature of it with Obsidian Publish. But like I said, I don't exactly want to pay for it when I have my own web hosting as well. So here's all the social stuff for his content, his OnlyFans, as noted. So, anyway, basically, instead of Obsidian Publish, come on, can I find it? Yeah. The solution that I found was Quartz. And if you look, it's actually really freaking similar, which is kind of scary. If I can get it to... Let's actually turn that off. But yeah, you can see it's actually got some pretty similar stuff going. If I can find... Maybe we go to that one. No. Feature list. Backlinks. No. But it's basically got all the Obsidian Publish stuff to it, but it's free. Anyway, yeah. Obsidian and NeoVIM. I really like the idea because there's some cases where I can see digital notes being useful, but in a lot of cases I don't quite use it for like task management or like just planning stuff. I will use a digital calendar, but usually I have a hard copy somewhere of what's going on during the week. If you liked the content, if you enjoyed it, if you think I deserve it, like, comment, subscribe, leave any criticisms you have or what have you. I appreciate it. Feed that algorithm, like I said, and I will see you guys in the next one.